Hi all, Professor Tanya Hertz here, and we're going to be talking about segmenting our markets. So I'm going to share my screen and open up our marketing slides. So market segmentation is the process of breaking up our customers into different customer groups, customer personas, customer descriptions that describe who a prototypical customer looks like. And especially as an entrepreneur, you need to know your customers so well, inside and out. You need to know who they are, where they live, how much money they have, how they shop, what prompts them to buy, what makes them different, right? What makes them who they are, so that you can then target your advertising to that particular segment and really reach them. And so when we're segmenting our market, what we're actually doing is we're grouping people by commonalities, by things that make them similar. And it's okay to make generalizations about people in order to describe them better, so that you understand them better. And then you then give them a name, like a sample name, and we call that a customer persona. So we have these different markets that market segments that we have for our business. And the reason that we do this is so that we can target that advertising just specifically to them and show them that we understand them, that we know them, that we reach them. And this is particularly important as an entrepreneur, as a new business owner, because we need to really be strategic in our marketing and careful about how we spend our marketing dollars. And especially when we're taking advantage of social media marketing, digital marketing, we need to show authenticity. We need to show that we know them, and they need to know that. And so it's a good idea to sort of group them together by commonalities, so that when we're creating marketing materials for that particular group, we're doing it for that group, and you can tell, right? I'll give you an example. So on our case study that we've been using for these lectures, it's the Joy from Home. Joanna, who has her business of making Oaxacan-style tamales in San Diego, and out of her home using MEKHOs license, and I made a little customer persona for Joanna from Joy from Home. And so now imagine her making it for her prototypical users. So maybe she has one group of people, and we can read what it says in the case study. So Joanna makes and sells delicious tamales oaxaqueños to family and friends using her home kitchen. Now, even friends of friends have heard about her food, authentic food, and her business is expanding. Most of her orders come from other people from Oaxaca, Oaxaqueños. I'm sorry, I don't, not the best Spanish in the world. My mom's Italian, so I speak Italian, so I sound like Italian when I speak Spanish, but so other Oaxaqueños who are hungry for a taste of home. She also sells platters of food for people who are having birthday parties, quinceañeras, and other large gatherings. So right there in this description of her, it's showing that she has a couple of different customer segments, and she could create a customer persona or description for each of them. So the first would be other people. Well, it looks like people who are from Oaxaca and they live in San Diego. So how she's segmenting her market, and the 4 types of market segmentation are geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. There's others as well, but these are just sort of standard for common segment methods. So we want to segment our market geographically. So we want to say, okay, so this group of customers that I have geographically, they're living in San Diego. Demographically, we can say things like, okay, so where were they born? How much money do they make? Are they typically men? Are they women? Are they, are they business owners, or are they people from the neighborhood? Does my food really appeal to people who are whatever it is, right? Demographically, psychographically, that's actually, I don't like the behavioral market segmentation because it sounds like behavioral, but that's talking about purchase behavior. Psychographic is really behavior. So what do they, what do they like? What do they like? What do they, what's a commonality amongst them? Are they working professionals, or do they tend to be more like families? Do they tend to be people who like to buy in cash, or do they tend to be older people who are maybe use Facebook sometimes, or are they younger people who are more TikTokers, or maybe are they people who aren't tech savvy at all, and they typically don't use a lot of internet marketing, or I'm sorry, social media channels to connect with each other. Oh, these are the things you need to know about your customers. And then behaviorally, that really means purchase behavior. So how do they buy? Like, what prompts them to buy? Like, why are they buying? So are they kind of people who pay in cash and usually buy at the end of the day when they're done with work and they just don't want to cook that night? Or are they the kind of people who buy for big parties and family gatherings? And that's why they're buying these kinds of food. You need to know, you need to understand what your customer groups are like. So for her, she might have her first customer persona or customer description would be maybe people who live in San Diego. So she's got demographically, they are people who were born in Oaxaca. She probably has a lot of working professionals. So maybe her customers tend to be people who have lived in San Diego for a while, but originally were from Oaxaca, maybe working blue collar adults, and then psychographically, maybe they are mostly purchasing not for at the end of the day when they're done working, but maybe they're purchasing more for the birthday parties and for large family gatherings, and then she could have that description of that group of people. But if she has another group of people who are, let's say, younger people who younger working professionals from Oaxaca who usually buy her food at lunchtime or at farmers markets or at whatever it is, if she needs to have a description of each of the different kinds of customers who typically are buying from her, so that she can target her marketing to that particular group. We would not advertise the same way to a boomer, baby boomer who only likes to go out to eat once a month, as we would to maybe a Gen Z or a millennial who likes to order DoorDash 10 times a week, right? So we need to understand what our different markets are like, so that when we're doing our strategic marketing and targeting them, we can we can make sure that our marketing is for them. And we even like to give like names to our customer personas, so we can just say like a typical whoever it is, right? A typical Brett, a typical Javier, a typical whoever it is. That way we can picture them easily in our minds, and it just helps us with our targeted marketing. So I have included in here activities. I know marketing, you could do so much marketing and you can go way down that rabbit hole, but these are the ones that I thought that might be most useful to new entrepreneurs who are creating these kind of things for their strategic marketing. So I included instructions on an activity for creating customer persona for if you've never sold anything before and you are brand new. I give you an activity on how you can actually brainstorm different market segments, and then identify who your beachhead or initial target market likely would be, and some of the other potential market segments. That's a good activity too to do, just sort of regularly, to kind of push yourself and say, who might our next group of customers be? Where might the next best place be to go get another group of customers and get people buying from us? And then I've also included this sample here of the customer persona, and there's instructions on how you actually do that market segmentation. If you'd like to go through those activities, totally not required, but if you just need a little bit of help creating your strategic marketing plans, you can use those there. So remember when I said the marketing mix is many different things? Price, product, place, promotion, philanthropy, people. There's so many things that go into the marketing mix, but promotion is one of the key things that we typically think about when we're thinking about marketing. So you can think of promotion as communication. This is our way of getting what we want to say to our customers. Remember that you're creating a brand image of yourself, and you have to create an online brand presence, a brand awareness of your self before you start selling to your to your audience, to your customers. And there are many different ways that we can communicate with our market. We're going to look at the online methods, and that's what we've been doing, is looking at the digital marketing channels. But that's not to discount things like personal selling, word of mouth, other types of advertising, including print and other sales promotion tools. Also, there's some workshops that we did at the REC on using, on taking advantage of other kinds of promotion tools that are free, including using the media to help you spread the word about some of the good things that you're doing, or the big news that you have for free, and getting a wide reach that way. When we're considering the different channels for communicating with our customers, remember that for our customers to remember us, they need to see our name or hear our name or be reminded of us a minimum of 7 times, 7 touch points before they actually start even associating and remembering your name. And so that does mean that you need to get your name out there a lot. And start now and take advantage of the fact that through social media marketing, you can do that pretty effectively. So you consider the source, that's you sending the message. So you want to make sure that that as an entrepreneur, you are branding both your business, so the company, and yourself as a company founder. If you want to be successful with not a lot of money to start with, you need to make yourself part of the business. And people like stories. We remember stories. We're humans. That's how we convey. Food and stories is how we pass down so much of our history. And so that means that people need to know you and your story, and you need to be willing and able to share your story. You also have to consider the path, so the way that you send the message, and that includes that you have all of these social media or digital marketing channels, and you have to think about the receiver, the end user, that customer persona, that customer segment, and how do they receive their information. That's why we go through the process of figuring out who our target market is and who our different markets are, so that we can then say, well, we know that our market tends to receive their information on, I don't know, they're on TikTok all day, or they tend to, when they're sharing information about family, it's on Facebook, or it's on whatever it is. You need to know that, so that you can be on that appropriate channel, right, and send the right message. And we have to also make sure that we're doing the appropriate mix of marketing, right? So it should be a blend of personal, us as the entrepreneur, and non-personal, and other forms of communication aimed at each of our target markets. It might be some print ads. You might do some promotion where you're doing a philanthropic endeavor, or you're giving away food to a particular group that your target market. So maybe it's a church group, or maybe it's a community, a particular community, and you can give away food, maybe for free, for an event for your that your customers care about. And that's another type of promotion tool, right? Maybe flyers. There's so many different things that you can do. You need to make sure that you're reaching your market the way that they where they are, and the way that works best for them. Now, make sure when you first are targeting each of the different market segments that that there's a geographical reach that you can actually manage and maintain. And this is really confusing nowadays in this world of online marketing and digital marketing. You think, okay, well, if I put something online, that goes out to the world, it's the World Wide Web, correct? Right. So this is everybody. But be careful, even though it is the World Wide Web, all of the algorithms, Google does define searches geographically by the area that you're in. And so people who are closer to you are going to get that message more than people who are far away from you. And then also be aware that even though we are in a digital marketing era, it doesn't mean that we can, be nameless, faceless companies that are totally disconnected from our customers. And eventually, as we grow, we may want to get into different supermarkets or different retailers, chains, which I highly recommend doing. I did that with my food-based business, and had a lot of success at that. But that happens. That can't be your initial target market of everybody in the beginning, or you won't ever get there. I don't know if I'm describing that right, but you need to start, no matter what, geographically localized, and get those initial group of people to love you, to promote you, to buy from you before you can reach further out. And we have sales coming up in the next lecture, but right. Yeah. You also need to consider the size of your promotional budget. You have to have a promotional budget. I used to sell real estate. I still do. I mean, I have a real estate company, but I now just do it more for myself. But when I was doing it, when I had the brokerage that was my primary work, and I had the agents that I was training all the time, I would always get so frustrated with agents who would, as soon as they started to have a bad month or they weren't selling enough real estate, the first thing that they would cut was their promotional budget. They'd say, okay, well, now I'm not going to spend any money on promotion because I have to save my money because I'm not making enough money, which is the wrong way of thinking, right? If you're not making enough money, you need to make sure that you maintain your promotion budget. I mean, it has to be something that you can maintain realistically, and that you can afford to do, but you don't want to cut that because that's how new people find out about you, right? So you have to strategically plan that, and you have to be able to, and you have to also look at what it is that you're selling, right? So when you first start, keep it as narrow as possible. A big mistake that I've seen, I've actually done myself in restaurants that I've owned, my family have owned, is trying to expand too fast, or maximizing growth rather than managing it carefully. Be really strategic about growing. Make sure that you can handle what you're doing, and don't stretch yourself beyond your capacity. It's easy to do when you experience a little bit of growth, and it can get you into some real trouble. So be strategic about it. And there's one thing that I haven't said yet, and I wanted to say this, and I probably should have said it a million times. And if you've been in any of my other classes, you've heard me say this: perfection is the enemy of progress. You don't get too hung up on doing everything perfect, because if you're trying to do everything perfect, you can make a perfect company in your head, but it doesn't matter a darn bit if you're not out there actually doing. So allow yourself permission, give yourself permission to fail in the small things, to learn from those failures, and then and grow, and put things out there even though they're not perfect. Don't wait to launch your business until you can have everything right and all the money saved up and everything the way that it needs to be, because you'll never, ever get there. You'll never get there. Do the best that you can with what you have now, and give it a shot. Just start working. I have to say it because I know a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we tend to be driven, we tend to be perfectionists, but that can impede us from actually being successful. So allow yourself permission to fail. You'll see me fail more than once, I'm sure, because I'm trying things, and you should be too, and you should embrace it. All right. So I just wanted to point out one thing about marketing strategies. As you're choosing your marketing mix and you're putting together your marketing strategy, there's a couple things you need to think about, and that's the money that you spend on the marketing versus the time that you spend on the marketing. And both money and time are directly correlated with efficacy or effectiveness. So if you spend very little money on marketing, well, you probably aren't going to have a very effective marketing campaign. Or if you spend very little time and effort on marketing, you will not have a very effective campaign. Where if you spend a lot of time and effort on marketing, you will have an effective campaign. Or if you spend a lot of money on marketing, you will have a very effective campaign. However, it doesn't, when you don't have a lot of money, you can spend the time and effort and have just as effective of a marketing campaign, just as, if not maybe even more effective. So the most effective promotional techniques are typically the ones that don't cost a lot of money, but they do cost a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort. And so as you get more money, and as you're growing more and you're able to spend more on marketing, then fine, you can trade from that time and effort over to the money spent. But in the beginning, when you're dealing with limited resources as an entrepreneur, you have to spend the time, you have to put the effort in, you have to do the things that are hard. So if you think about like the most effective marketing that there is, word of mouth, the thing we all just, you know, it's not that, by the way, that is not a marketing strategy. That is a payday when it happens. It's just a yay, wonderful, great, but it's not a strategy. It's definitely not a tactic. But for word of mouth advertising, to make it actually work, it takes a lot of work on your part. You have to be out there personally selling your business, talking about your company at every opportunity, taking advantage of every opportunity that there is out there, hitting the streets, talking to people, shaking hands, being the face of the company. Oh my gosh, the time, the energy, the effort to make this happen, right? It's a ton, but it doesn't really cost that much actual money. Now, you can spend a lot of money on a fancy ad campaign by people who are specialized in marketing, and you can outsource this to somebody who does this well, and that can be very effective as well. But when you first start, if you don't build the brand yourself, if you don't put that energy and effort in yourself, you will never succeed. You can throw money at the problem all day long, and you're just going to be some other people's vision idea of your company. I suppose if you had enough money and you could truly throw as much money as it needed at it, they could come up with a campaign and a business, and then they're basically just designing it for you. But that's not entrepreneurship, and it's not the best way to go about this. So you do need to, in the beginning, work out your promotional budget, how much you can actually spend on this. And this is tough. There are a lot of different ways that you can come up with for budgeting for promotional efforts. No matter what, you need to do this. It's part of the strategy. So people do this different ways. Companies do this different ways. You can budget a fixed percentage of your sales, maybe 10% of everything that we sell every month, we put back into budgeting. So it's directly correlated with that. You can look and see, okay, well, this is how much I've spent this month, this is how much money I have left over after all of my expenses are covered, and I then can use that for the budget. You can spend at the same level as the competition. If you know that other people are putting in X, Y, or Z, you can make it happen. Or you can look and say, what are my objectives? What are my goals? How many people do I need to reach? And then how much do I need to spend to reach those people? And then the budget can go up and down based on what those end objectives are. And which is the right way, which is the best way? Well, that's really going to depend on your business, the structure of the business, the amount of money that you have, the amount of expertise that you have. But again, perfection is the enemy of progress. You need to start somewhere. You need to start, and you need to start at something that you can realistically do. I recommend as a business owner a new business owner, for those entrepreneurs, which most of us are here, is that you know what your budget is going to be for the next year or so of operations, and then pull back from that. And what can I afford now? About every quarter, you should reevaluate your metrics. You should reevaluate your metrics and your methods, and then see if you need to adjust your spending based on results. So it's important that when you're creating your budget, that you remember to capture the data, that you remember whichever method or all the methods that you use, that you actually look and see what works, right? Look and see what works for your business. And I think we have the next slides coming up on KPI. I think I'll end this lecture here, and then I'll start the next one for the key performance indicators, which are how you actually track the efficacy of your marketing efforts. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and end this video and then start the next.